Welcome once again to Global Reports here on Liberty Television. After a 4-week break, we're back in the seat. This time from our Kaduna studios, I am Arthur Brooks. Welcome to our viewers in Nigeria and across West Africa, and to our many friends worldwide streaming live on the internet and on Facebook and YouTube. As usual, we follow the most popular and trending news stories from around the world. Our guest this week is the renowned scholar and our good friend, Professor Khalifa Dikwa. Welcome to the studio, Prof.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
I think this week we have a run-up to the general election, starting with the presidential election here in Nigeria on Saturday. This, I believe, is the 7th democratic election.
Today being Wednesday, 13th of February.
Yeah.
So just 2 days to
2 days to go. But I believe since independence, it's about the 7th democratic election.
Yes.
Okay, correct. We've had a number of off-the-road, undemocratic changes in government, but this time we've had a spell of democracy which has lasted.
It depends on where
20 years.
We stand. Some say 7, others say 8.
8, okay. Okay, anyway, before we kick off, let's see what the rest of the world is saying about our democratic process, and let's see this report from BBC World Service.
Next, we're going to talk about Nigeria's presidential election. It's on Saturday. Now, Nigeria is the most populous country in Africa. It's got the continent's largest economy, so whoever's in charge has a huge impact on how Nigeria interacts with the world. Here are the two main contenders, President Buhari and the lead opposition figure, Atiku Abubakar. Now, if you follow Nigeria's elections regularly, you'll know they often follow a geographical divide between the Christian south and the Muslim north, but those lines are increasingly blurred. Have a look at this political map of Nigeria. The areas marked blue are currently controlled by President Buhari's party, the green, primarily in the south, controlled by the opposition. But this time, both the president and his challenger are from the north of Nigeria. Atiku Abubakar is a high-profile businessman, philanthropist. He's run for president 3 times before, so people know him well. And if he succeeds, he's going to have to make an excellent case on security, because both men really have to explain to the electorate what they're going to do about the northeast of Nigeria, where Boko Haram's Islamist insurgency continues. Now, the main city in that region is Maiduguri. Another detail of this election story. Today, the UN has expressed concern that President Buhari suspended Nigeria's Chief Justice over allegations of financial misconduct. Here's the UN saying any decision to suspend or remove a judge from office should be fair and should be taken by an independent authority such as a judicial council or a court, or in other words, not by the president. And this is particularly relevant because Nigeria's Chief Justice would be central to resolving any disputes that could arise after the election. Got to get to election day first, though.
Okay, that's the view from the BBC in London of our election actions. Prof, what is your take on the upcoming elections? Where are we in Nigeria now?
Typical of international media is instead of saying majority Christian South, majority Muslim North. It's a Christian South and Muslim
which
North.
Is, of course, not
which
true.
is divisive, which is not true at all. And apart from even the South and Southeast that used to be Christian and traditional, there are Muslims now. So the Southwest Muslim, and imagine in the North, the entire North, about the all the ethnic groups that now span about 500. And if you remove ethnic groups like Kanuria and so on, almost all other ethnic groups have their own Christians, their own Muslims, and so on. And with this culture binding them together of tolerance and so on. So it is misplaced, it's a misnomer to say Christian North or Christian
could
Muslim North.
Could this divisionist?
Divisionist, and it has to do with the psychology based on the editorial corner. There's a particular, apart from casting news, editing it, there is a particular element that it is brought into the news in order to to bend the minds of the people who listen to them. And Nigeria has grown above this divisive tendencies that politicians use ethno-religious false flags in order to get what they want. We have to live above this, because if you have good governance, you wouldn't mind who is on top of that.
You don't mind. Yeah.
But now that things are not okay, everybody wants to hit the governor, wants to hit the president, and so on.
Yeah.
And therefore, awareness has come, and it is high time those who had the opportunity of serving Nigeria and so on give the chance to others who should come out also to do their own bit, because Nigeria belongs to all ages.
To all, yeah. And so your particular state,
yes,
from the
exactly, from the northeast that we talked about.
Yeah.
Prior to the coming of insurgency, I had access to. I had stumbled on what do you call it, classified documents in Europe and so on, predicted the coming of insurgency. Instead of applauding me and going by my advice, it was the government at that time that was coming after me. It means whatever happens to a country, there are cronies, there are moles within the system who will help for money, for favors and so on, with this slave mentality and so on. That Nigeria has survived many conspiracy theories in the past, and I don't think people should worry too much about it, because Nigerians are prayerful, although not God-fearing.
Not always. Let me just, I see something in the newspapers today about a Buhari-Atiku sign accord or pact on the outcome elections. What's all that about?
It's just a pact to say whoever wins will just agree.
Agree.
So the condition is that unless it is fair, free and fair, and seen to be fair and free, just an accord like this hardly work. Imagine a situation in which heads of state were just drafted, invited to Paris, and just signed an accord on the outcome of the International Court of Justice on Bakassi. President Obasanjo went there, signed it, even without without informing the National Assembly, and today is history.
And today, look at the problems they're having in the south of Cameroon.
Exactly.
Some parts of Cameroon wants to
the Amazon and so on, the English. They say the English want to now have their own thing. It is about economy. It is just about interest of the foreign. Yeah. So Bakassi or this English speaker country and so on, Biafra in the past, now the northeast, that is Baga environment, also is in the Magna Carta, in the grand plan to take over, to have a territory for foreign interests to tap the resources inside there. Yeah. So I think some countries are still living in the past, particularly France, that is now being challenged by Italy, saying if not for African resources, France will be the 15th position in terms of economy of the world. Now it is third after Britain, after Germany, Britain, and so on. And therefore, now the European Union should now sit up and say, hey, France, you've been doing it. You've been keeping 85% of resources of your former colonies. You give them only 15, and when they want more, they will borrow their own money and pay a commercial rate. Is that fair?
That's the French problem, sir.
It is the international community that is also complicit for keeping quiet.
I see also Bill Clinton, former president of the United States, was to speak with the candidates. Is that interference in our affairs, or
no? Nigeria, Brooks, Nigeria is not an island in the world. Nigeria is a big player in the world affairs, based on its history of quelling insurgencies in the past, from contributing peacemaking in Africa, in the world. The recent ones in Sierra Leone, Liberia, and so on, everywhere.
Way back, as we did one program
in Darfur and so on.
World War,
so Nigeria is a world player, and it is a leader in Africa. If Nigeria is not good, the rest of Africa will just be shiverish. And therefore, it is the duty of everyone to see that Nigeria is stable, but world establishment would like to take it down so that they create a scenario where they would send force governments to buy arms, kill themselves, and eventually what is happening in Yemen and all over the country, all over the globe. And therefore, I think President Clinton not coming and so on, maybe delayed.
It's not coming now.
It used to be Jimmy Carter coming all the time. Nigeria is a friend of the West. That is no. If they say America is always dreaming of Nigeria, let us set aside what their governments do from time to time. But as people of America, and Nigeria in particular, leading the African continent, the entire
Africa, Nigeria.
Exactly. The same thing with Britain, the same thing with France. What governments do is they are different from what people do. Because we lived with them. Today, what is happening in Britain is a problem. So we are not happy about it. What is happening in France, we are not happy. The lack of gun control in America, mass killing and so on. It is painful to us, but the establishment and so on, the NRA, National Rifle Association, so on, so powerful that they cannot allow the National Assembly or the Congress to now have a real background in order to control guns, drugs and guns, always killing. Every day people get killed. If you take, for instance, Florida, from 70s to date, still the hard drugs and killings on daily basis
is out of proportion to the population.
Yes, that's why Europe is safer than America.
Of course. Let's move on. Going back to the elections, what about election security? We've talked about this before.
Yes, it's
been beefed up enough for the upcoming election.
Beefed up tremendously.
Because I think that the situation at the moment, I think, is as I read
don't know if
it's a very hot election.
Yes, I don't know if the police shield now they are now police shield and rubber bullets and water cannons. All these vehicles are now updated, and the synergy established between all the security agencies, particularly the civil defense, the Secret Service, immigration, in terms of giving them vehicles and so on, Air Force, giving them enough funds for fueling and so on. Eventually for our borders,
as well,
Boko Haram and other insurgencies coming into our country through the porous borders and so on. The Air Force has been the real game changer. If you don't get enough crafts and fuel in order to surveil or send what we call them in terms of surveillance and so on, we have a problem because the army cannot do it alone without the cooperation of the Air Force. So even in drones and so on.
What about issues like election rigging? Are we still in fear of
quite frankly,
something?
Quite frankly, our electoral empire has gone 200% even beyond the 2015 situation. And therefore, it is now scientific and almost impossible to rig. And eventually, people only rig where they are popular. And where they are, even when they are popular, they cannot take away the ballot box and so on because it is useless. And the only thing is that there should be a society-based care and attention and alert that they shouldn't allow anybody to create commotion, because when some people are smart, because by law they said if there is a problem, that particular place, the election will be nullified. And somebody who knows that this particular polling
they can
is going to vote for X, Y, and so on, X, then he or she will deliberately create commotion so that the place is completely. So I think that particular law has to be reviewed.
The other issue, which I don't know whether it's been...
INEC needs only security for its personnel, yes, for its personnel and movement of the materials, particularly the sensitive ones and so on. And I dare say that INEC was smart enough not to say, although some elites are saying electronic and so on, the way America did. If America was unable to prevent foreign incursions and so on, Nigeria hasn't got even enough ICT bolstering. We are not bold enough. We have not got enough in terms of ICT connectivity.
We've seen the burning of...
unfortunately, all of them from from one party, the same party. You see, Anambra, Abia, and Plateau states. And again, INEC must have had an intelligent guide to say, what if it happens? They must have a way of saying, if you come with your card and your card was not collected, it's your problem, despite the extension and so on, but you have the thing, your number is in the register, then there must be something that will allow you to vote. If the PVC, the original PVC, and you happen to be victim of the arson, the act of arson, is a different from the scenario where you refuse to go and get your permanent voter's card.
What's the scenario if somebody their material, their PVC is burnt? It's burnt.
He ought to have had a temporary one at least for burning. But those who refuse to pick their own permanent voter's card, they are not likely to be allowed to use the temporary one, because it is laxity, out of laxity, because it has been on for long.
Well publicized.
Maybe they will open it for them after the presidential election to come and pick their thing. But it is not. Nobody should claim ignorance that the publicity has not been there for them to pick.
The other issue is the problem of the IDPs.
The IDPs in our own area, in northeast, in Borno, for instance, it's a different scenario. Even in the past, we had it in 2011, 2015. Then in the IDP camps, they were allowed to even vote at that place. But I don't know in situation in which now, in some north central states like Benue, Plateau, and even the recent one, Guagua, in Chukun, where we have now a few who are displaced by some skirmishes and so on.
The
same thing with Zamfara.
There's been
IDPs.
Yeah, it's been a small number from what I've seen in the newspapers. It's something like in Benue, 150,000 IPPs are being allowed to vote, if I read it correctly. And 410,000 in Borno state camps.
Yes, they have camps. In their camps in Monguno, in Maiduguri, 6 of them, and so on.
Those figures don't they sound rather small?
No, the Borno state is second. It is bigger than the size of the entire southeast. But the population is not as big as the territory is. So you think
these figures of 150,000 in Benue and 410,000 in Borno are...
Borno size is well over 70,000 square meters and so on. Just next to Niger State.
I understand they're also making provision for Nigerian IDPs in Chad in camps to be able to vote
in Chad, and you have also in North Kusri, the border, like Fotokol, Nyangala local government Fotokol. You have it in cross Bagasula. Bagasula, just around Lake Chad and so on, and then at periphery of where people from Kalabalge went across the border for refuge. The same thing with those who came to Adamawa, and so they have their own cards, if at all they have it. Because it is not easy for somebody who's traumatized to even think of election again.
Yeah, then their lives.
They must have lost everything, including the PVCs and so on.
Yeah.
So I guess that the number of voters will be much lower than that of 2011. 2011 and 2007, which will be much lower. I wondered how they got 84 million now.
Yeah.
Maybe the areas that were safe in the south and so on did their own, but not the north. North has not got enough of those who are supposed to now reach the age of 18. They were all traumatized. Every aspect, almost all the entire north has one problem or the other. So when we have a problem, particularly of security, of food and so on, the tendency is that you hate anything government. So that was how insurgency like Boko Haram used in order to get at the government of the day. Because if you don't show the sense of belonging to people who are at the borders, for instance, the people of Abadam in northern Borno, you have the people of Ilela, Sokoto, and so on. You have with the Gire in Adamawa, Borneo, and in Jigawa, and so on. Those who are at the borders, if the people who are living in the border do not get anything like TV. They don't watch. They don't have water. They don't have electricity. They don't watch football and so on. It is all limited to the city. Then the tendency is that they will lose interest in whatever that is called the official of government.
Our time is
as usual. I think we'll come for the election thing. The verdict will create another.
So we pray. We hope that the elections go smoothly and safely. And
we will create a platform to discuss the election. I think so.
That's already on the cards, I understand.
Yes.
Again, time is against us. So once again, I'd like to thank our guest, Professor Khalifa Dikwa. I'd like to thank our camera team here in the studio and our control room team and the Global Reports production team. This is Arthur Brooks signing out. Join me again next week. Have the same time, same place. Have a fantastic week. Enjoy the elections. Hope they keep safe. Keep watching Global Reports.
Vote, not fight.
Liberty TV.
Just a vote.
Vote, don't fight.
Don't fight.
Thank you.
It's not just about the individual news item, it's all about what's behind the news story. What went on before, now and after.
We report today not from Kaduna, Nigeria, but from Liverpool in the United Kingdom. Slavery Museum, that's right, in Liverpool. Dr. Benjamin.
No personal attack on candidates.
Okay, thank you very much. Ray TV Liverpool. I'm here with Chris Kerr, who is one of the team that runs this remarkable little station.
My background is that I'd spent quite a lot of time working for Bernardo Television as a reporter and producer, and I lived in Liverpool for most of my life, and I've had a very strong interest in doing something in the way of more local television, more than the regional service which Bernardo and the BBC offer.
This is Arthur Brooks signing off from Liberty Global Reports, and have a very good week. Thank you, Saidu, for coming on the programme.
My pleasure.
And please check out our Facebook page.